Oh gosh.
Oh, I'm coming back here. And welcome back to the Trenton 365 show. I'm your host, Jacques Howard. You can follow on Twitter at Trenton365. Send an email, Trenton365show at gmail.com. And one of the Facebook pages is Trenton365 Show. You can also check out Library Boxes of Trenton, New Jersey. Yeah, I'm part of that. Also, Lifestyle by Amons Brindle and Capital City Rollers. The whole idea behind what I do with Trenton 365 is it's civic engagement radio. And the idea is that we can build a better community together for everyone if we are all involved in a discussion. In the studio with me is Taylor, and I'm just going to start calling you Soulful Tee. Soulful Tee is here in the studio with me, and she's sharing a bit about her background for those of you who don't know her. But we've been talking about her forthcoming one-woman show that's going to be happening sometime over the summer. And she's got this new band that she's excited about, and they're going to be cutting a demo soon. And then she's just been talking about different things that she's been doing after graduating from Montclair State University with a theatrical degree. And we didn't touch on this much, but what have you been doing theater-wise?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. I just finished a run of Memphis at the Ritz Theater in Haddonfield. It's close like to Cherry Hill area if anyone knows where that is. And that was one of the most fulfilling shows I've ever been a part of because it was the most challenging role I've ever had to play thus far in my theater career. Most of the shows that I've done, I've either just had to play a character where I just stood and sang, or just danced, or just a meaty acting role, but not particularly to that extent where I had to do all three. And when I say all three, I was dancing from the top of the show to the bottom. I danced off some weight. I was dancing off some weight, and it was very fulfilling. Just in working with other actors who've actually been on tour and traveled, with other productions that they've done. I've learned a lot from them. I will never forget one of the quotes, or one of the things that one of the leading actors said to me. She said, "We don't make mistakes, we make adjustments." And I always thought, that as an actor encouraged me, because I'm like getting on stage and I'm like, "Oh my God, we're all messing up," and she's like, "Just adjust, keep dancing, and dance your way through the rest of the show." And I would give any opportunity to be a part of that show with that particular cast again. They're actually going to be auditioning people to do the show Memphis at Mercer County Community College, which you may see me in, you may not, I don't know yet, but keep a lookout.
So regarding the theatrical performance of what you've done in the past, how do you see this whole big picture of what you're doing? And again, just to think what we've discussed tonight. I mean, you've done mentoring and teaching, all right? You're theatrical performing. You've got a one-woman show. You're planning on writing. You've got a new band. You've done some fashion stuff. You just had another photo shoot. So you got all these different things that are happening as well. How do you see this culminating with your theatrical performance? Is the one-woman show going to be a wide-scale, theatrical performance?
Yes, the one-woman show is going to be a wide-scale theatrical performance. It actually mainly is theatrical. It's not quite like the general musical that people are used to, Phantom of the Opera, or even Memphis. It is some music a part of the show, but it's original music, and it's not sang in the way that's like a spectacle style. It's done in a way that's different, not what most theaters are used to. So it's experimental, I would say that, along the lines of experimental. Yeah.
So
I answered your question.
so do you think that at some point in time you're going to be able to bring all these different balls that you're juggling, you're going to be able to bring them all together to something?
Absolutely. I do believe that. I believe that everything you do, you should do with reason, you should do with purpose. I don't think anybody just does something just because. I think that a lot of what we do, especially as artists, it's purposeful. It has intention. And so, to answer your question, Mr. Jacques Howard, I do believe that all these things that I'm juggling, this music, the demo, the band, the show, the writings, is all going to be made into something that will be able to bless people. And I don't quite know what that is yet, and I think that that's okay. I'm just going to let God move and continue to just be in my process and allow my art to speak, and to just be open to whatever comes of it. What comes of it. But whatever comes of it will be purposeful.
Now, you're very open about your spirituality, your faith as a Christian. How has that worked for you in sustaining you in this very difficult industry of being a performing artist?
Keeps me leveled. It allows me to be my spirituality allows me to be more, I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but with my spirituality, it plays a part because that's who I am. Like, I can't really describe what it's doing through my artistry, but it keeps me in a place where I'm like, when things do get overwhelming or stressful or crazy, I have that to go back to, my faith, God. I can talk to him, and it just keeps me in a place where I'm of wholeness, of healthiness, and stability, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And do you foresee your faith playing a larger, more out front role in your artistry?
Absolutely. It has to, because that's like my foundation. If people can't see God in my work, then maybe I need to rework something, because that's my lifestyle, and yes, it absolutely plays a part in my artistry, because I'm looking for my artistry to bless people, to minister to people, not only to be entertaining, but to show people that, hey, I go through this too, but look at what God can do with this. God can take your brokenness. He is the God of restoration, so he can restore whatever's broken, you know what I'm saying? And I want to be able to translate that in my artistry, that there's hope. Hope, that's important, just hope. And however I can bless anybody, minister to anybody through that, that's what I want.
Oftentimes, just like anything else, people share their faith when it's convenient.
Right.
And I think that's just another one of those human traits that we all have. How do you maintain your faith? For you personally, I'm not asking you to speak for all Christians or all women or anyone. How is your faith helping you to maintain those peaks and valleys? And I ask you this because for me, that's something that I have found that my faith does. It helps me to not get too high, not go too low. Just recognize that the changes in elevation, whether the peak or the valley, that is just part of the process. And it's something that we all have to go through. How about you?
So, I think if I understand the question correctly, my faith contributes to, you're asking me how do I exercise that throughout all?
How do you manage the peaks and valleys through your faith?
How do I manage the peaks and valleys through my faith? My faith, I want to represent that. So, in my peaks and in my valleys, I want to represent the one whom I believe in, which is Jesus Christ. Am I perfect? No. No one is, But if I keep that goal in mind to represent him, in all that I do, whenever I'm going through something or whenever life is looking good, the full fulfillment and purpose is in that. forever strong. You know, I'm forever, working on myself. And it's a process, it's a walk. But, just going through changes and things like that, God never changes. So, He never changes. That's really the bottom line. But, then my faith also humbles me,
I want to interject here, and I'm glad you mentioned this idea of perfection.
Right.
And this idea and the concept of human beings getting to some point where we're perfect. I think that's also a misnomer. I think that too many times people put other people on a pedestal and think that we should subscribe to them because they're perfect or because they've achieved a certain status or all these different things. And for me, it's been really eye-opening when I don't put myself in those situations where I don't hold anyone in really high regard, because we have all fallen short, and we all are going to have peaks and valleys and issues and trials and tribulations, etc. But I think that it's important for us, especially with young people who are watching. And again, going back to the original statement of how you dealt with young people, and I know we're running short on time, but I think that it's important for us who are doing things, especially in the limelight or in the public's eye, for us to be honest about how difficult this is. And the fact that it's not always glamorous, and we don't always look this good, and we have bad days, and we don't want to be bothered at some times, and that we need to be more human with that and understand that this is a job, this is a profession, this is just something that we do. We're just about out of time, but I'd like for you to say just a couple of words about